something to hang with. Let me open a regular meeting, City Council, City of Pearland, for April the 27th, year 2020. And our start time is 6:30. We are delighted to have all of you aboard, so let us move into our regular council meeting. Councilmember Rolando, would you please do the invocation? And Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Little, would you do the Pledge of Allegiance?
If you please bow your heads. Lord, can you please watch over the city of Pearland and everyone in it as we go through this turbulent time with COVID-19? Please guide us in making decisions that are to your liking in protecting the health and the security of those in our community. Please watch after our first responders, our frontline medical personnel, and everyone else who keeps this whole machine going during this really difficult time. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
And I want to appreciate everyone that is participating to thank the two council members for continuing our mode regardless of the challenges we may face otherwise. Moving to item number 3, which is roll call. And I'll do this because we need to certify a quorum. Councilmember Little? Aye.
Here.
Okay, Councilmember Cabon?
Here.
Councilmember Moore?
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Here, Mayor.
Councilmember Reyes? I saw his mouth moving, but I didn't hear him.
Here.
Okay. And Councilmember Owens?
Here.
Okay. And I'll ask this secretary that I am certifying the quorum for tonight's meeting. Moving to item number 4, citizen comments. Pro Tem Little.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 citizens signed up to speak tonight. You will be given 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address before you begin. And you'll have a clock on your screen that you can self-time yourself. The first speaker that signed up is Abraham Ali Uri, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Council member, they did not join the meeting.
Okay. The second person is Eugene Howard. I believe he spoke a few minutes ago. Go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Okay. Oh, hello. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all that have tuned in. I just wanted to weigh in on the community health task force, so to speak. I want to thank the councilman, whoever, or Adrian, Councilman Hernandez, for bringing such a thought to the agenda, to the light of the city councilman. I think it's very pivotal to understand that I think it's always best to know that we're our own best army. We're our own saviors. We should look inward more so than outward when we have the opportunity to, whether it's maintain or be preventative or be better than what we have been. So, for example, right now we know that there is a shortage of PPE equipment. Our organization had a meeting with the executive board of the Community Health Network last week. And right now we're trying to put together our own miniature task force to help provide the Community Health Network and other frontline workers and soldiers, so to speak, right, with everyone saying the war talk right now, who fighting on the front lines, to give them the protective equipment that they need. So that is something that is being outsourced, and they've been very open to any community help in achieving those kind of goals. So that is one example of why a task force such that council has presented on the agenda tonight could be such a necessity and a positive to the community. It bridges gaps, it bridges communities, it brings us all together focused on one goal, which is the health of your neighbor and yourself. Pearland has always been a great example of a multicultural, multi-diverse community. So we should pull on all of our different ethnic groups, all of our different organizations. The just community love that Pearland so well demonstrates on numerous occasions to help us get through this storm of this COVID-19. So I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on why I think this would be a positive move forward if the city would lead the example of the county, showing what a city and what the citizens can do when they all come together with one goal in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. The next speaker is Gerard House. Mr. House, are you there?
It appears that they have dropped off the call as well. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay. That completes the public comments, Mayor.
Okay, that information in the record. Let us move to item number 5, which is public hearings, and there will not be any public hearings tonight. Moving to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem, would you identify items to be removed from the agenda tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. Do any of the councilmen other than Mr. Owens pulling item number B have any consent items to remove from the agenda?
I believe he was pulling D as in dog.
D as in dog, thank you.
D as in dog, Mayor, just D, item D.
Okay. Dog, D as in dog wins. Moving into our consent agenda, Councilmember Orlando, would you do the honor as usual?
Consideration and possible action, consent agenda items A through F with the exception of D, so moved.
Second, that's Councilman Little.
Okay. We have a motion. Councilmember Little, second the motion.
We do, Mayor.
Okay. That was, Madam Secretary, I believe we have a motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Little,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Councilmember Orlando, would you please present item number D? Council has a motion.
Consideration and possible action, resolution number R 2020-79, so moved.
Second, it's Councilman Moore.
We do have a second?
Yes, Councilman Gary Moore.
Okay, Gary Moore, okay. Now, we are now in discussion. Let us move to staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Everybody hearing all right? This is a recommendation for furniture that we buy as a direct purchase. We have a contract existing with the Luck Company. Station 8 construction, Fire Station 8 on the north side of Shack Creek Parkway is going very well. We fully expect to be in there in June, July, and this will allow us to have the necessary furniture to proceed with that. So nothing to add, sir.
The question or comment regarding the staff report?
Yeah, Mayor, this is Woody. I think you answered, Clay, one of my first questions of when the fire station is due to open. And then you're saying now January of this year?
No, sir. It's June, July. We're going to get substantial completion, but obviously the move in and shaking things down. So we expect to be running out of there by June or July.
Okay. can you tell me what is it, the 3.1 million fire apparatus, what that is? Just says associated equipment.
So we purchased, you may recall, through the TERS, the large hardware, the ladder truck, and the engines. So that was all part of the project cost and the startup necessary.
Okay. And again, I see on here that we're buying it from the Luck Company, and it's going to come in, has to be shipped from England here. And I guess the thing that really concerns me, we're paying $3,100, $3,175 to have it shipped here, and an installation of $5,900, almost $6,000. So we're looking at, out of the total $50,000, $9,000 is going to be for the shipping and I guess just setting the furniture in there, because it looks like on the furniture it's 15 twin beds and 45 under bed storage things. Some of the concern that I had was a bar stool, 7 of them at $490 a piece. It's pretty, some of it's pretty expensive stuff going in there, but there's nothing that we could buy here, I'd say locally in the Houston area, rather than having, I know that Luck is, one of their offices is here in Houston, but the furniture has to come from England over here. And so that was just my big concern, that out of the 50,000 at 9,000 is just shipping it over here from England and then bringing it in, and from once it gets here to bring it in and set it up inside there.
I don't think that's correct, Member Owens. It's London Freight, it's a trucking company.
Well, I don't know. They said it from London.
No, it's I mean, I've seen their trucks around. So,
Where's that?
I mean, it's the Luck Company. If anybody wants to haul furniture, it's not big enough to custom or that special that's worth that. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, you know, there's a lot of furniture on here, but it's pretty expensive stuff that we're buying on here. But it just seemed like, you know, that the hauling and actually the coming in and setting up was what about close to 20% of what we're actually spending on there.
Well, any kind of furniture is a bulky item, as you know, and anytime they're going to bring it, you know, from the warehouse here and the setup, it doesn't come assembled typically, or finished products. So they have to, you know, they do that as part of their service and finish it out. So.
Okay, well, I was concerned about actually when it was needed in and has to come in. I think they said it's about 6 weeks on delivery or something like that, on being able to deliver it. But it just said it's from London, and yeah, it's freight from London. So maybe that is just a company. I'd never heard of the London Freight Company, but there's a lot of them I probably never heard of. But just some of the items in there seem like it's pretty expensive furniture that's being bought, and custom colors that's on there of cherry wood and stuff like that.
I don't know how custom the colors are. It's used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's got to hold up to that.
Well, I can understand that.
You know, Woody, we're building a beautiful fire station.
Yeah.
And I think it's appropriate that we stock it with some furniture that's commensurate with its appearance and the fact that it's serving all of west of Pearland. So, and usually when these people, when they put them in, like Clay said, it's sturdy furniture. I'm not sure you're going to get sturdy furniture locally. They're not in that kind of business. They are. So,
Okay, I just had some
good
questions
thought,
on it. It just seemed like some, and I'm sure that's what we spent down there on the other fire station, down there on O'Allen, on the furniture and stuff like that. And but it just seemed like, you know, I didn't know what the time schedule was to open it up. and the delivery time that we're getting ahead of time on this, and the shipment cost and bringing it in and setting it in there, you know, is almost $10,000 out of the 50 is going to be spent just for that.
Any other questions? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, that RT London Company is the furniture company, and it looks like that's a U.S.-based company, and that builds their furniture here. Looking them up. Thank you.
Any other question or comment from council?
Yep, Mayor, when I was reviewing this, I mean, $490 for a bar stool. I just, for a heavy duty bar stool, are we seriously going to pay $500 for a bar stool?
Without the spec or whatever, I hear you. I don't know if Vance is on, or we can get something to get back out to you. Or Trent, you know, from Skipper, is that brand type or what that means?
I do know that, you know, everything we buy in there is heavy duty or built to last, and then we also, through the contracts or through the cooperative contracts, we are able to get the steepest discounts from these manufacturers through that contract. Is my understanding is that through that contract they provide the deepest discounts they provide anywhere for the furniture. As for that specific piece of furniture, I can see on the floor plan that it's in the kitchen, but you know, I don't have any specifics on the bar stool itself.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's $500 for a bar stool. Even if it's the best price, do we need a $500 bar stool? Is there anybody from the department? I assume we consult somebody in the fire department in terms of the furnishings of this.
That's correct.
I don't know if they're online or if they can add some commentary.
Chief Riley's on. I can unmute him if you'd like.
Can we pull that item up on there to take a look at it? On the fire station on furniture, go ahead and pull it up and go to item of what we're buying.
Is that the Heidi one?
That's just the itemized list last week. So line, the last line there is what was questioned. So Vance, are you on or unmuted?
Just to add 2 cents. One of the benefits of being online or doing this remote, I can look on my computer and do some searches, and I just searched Star Furniture, just a random Star Furniture, and like decent bar stools are between $300 and $600. There's some here for $1,000. I mean, that's just Star Furniture. I mean, it's not the highest end, it's not the lowest end. I mean, there's certainly some that are a lot cheaper, but they're not ones I would buy.
This is Vance. I'm on.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I was going to add something, but I'll speak after Chief.
We generally spend a little bit more for our fire station furniture due to the wear and tear that it gets. We found out over the years we end up having to replace furniture if we don't get it a little beefier, hence the little bit higher cost initially.
And I can maybe add to that, being in the food service industry for, you know, very part of about 18 years of my life, good quality commercial bar stools do run easily, you know, in the $500-600 range. You know, depending on many factors, I would say that maybe if there was a spec sheet, you know, for some of these items, it would help to alleviate some of the concerns. But I think that's pretty standard, at least in the industry, being in food service for so long. Any type of quality bar stool product, especially anything with those types of long legs, is going to take a beating. So having quality construction on stuff like that is pretty important, especially for something that's used as regularly as a bar stool, I think, in a firehouse. So that's all I can offer, I suppose. But with the spec sheet, it's difficult for me to say for sure. But that would be my my guess as to why the price is what it is, which for a quality commercial bar stool is actually a pretty decent price.
Evidently, we don't have any lockers or anything in there. It says, like I mentioned a while ago, you got 15 twin beds, but you got 45 underbed storage deals that you buying. Those Cocoa on Maple finished. 45 of them, $169 a piece under the bed storage. Is that just a box or what? It
That's,
takes 3 of
that's
them
basically underbed storage for each bed. There's 3 shifts in each fire station, utilizing those dorm rooms. So that's basically a storage place for each person that's going to occupy that room. And I believe it says maple laminate. It's a laminate material, not actual maple wood.
Okay, so there's no other lockers in there then.
Everyone's there's built-ins like the other stations, the new stations we've got. There's built-in lock in the units. And then there are turnout gears, and obviously in a different area.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It just seemed like some pretty expensive stuff going in there. So,
Any of the council members have a question or comment on this issue? I don't hear any. Madam Secretary, I believe we have about as close to.
Councilmember Orlando?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
No.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
no.
The motion passes 5-2.
Okay. It was a good discussion, and appreciate your time and effort on that. Moving to item number 8 on our agenda.
Mayor, before we go to our agenda items, one of the speakers is back on the line. I think we should let him go ahead and speak.
Good, thank you, sir.
Mr. Hauser, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
Sir.
Okay, I apologize for earlier. I don't know, my phone just blinked out. Anyway, my name is Gerard Hauser. I live at 2807 Honeysickle. I do want to appreciate and thank Pearland City and Brazoria County on doing a great job on their websites and Facebook, keeping everybody notified of the COVID cases that we've got and where they're located. And the reason for this call, it is for notification and it's informational. And Friday, my wife and I learned that we do have a COVID positive facility going live this week in Pearland. And it's going to be at the Medical Resort of Pearland, which is at 3406 Business Center Drive. It's the one that's next door to Costco. And I don't know if Pearland is supposed to receive any kind of notification on this. Should the facility have told y'all that this for informational, so that in turn, the public could be told. And I guess is anybody going to tell the public that we do have this COVID positive facility, that they are just getting set up as we speak, because they were moving out they're moving out the patients today, and that's about all I got on it.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. It's a nice change to have 2 people speak that actually appreciate council and the city and what we do. Thank you very much. That takes care of our public speakers, Mayor.
And making sure the council items were identified. Item 7 is matters removed from the consent agenda. We just had that one item D. Moving to item number 8, which is new business. We heard the caller from the new business item. Item number 1 under new business, Councilmember Carbone, would you present this for our consideration?
And possible action, resolution R 2020-76. So moved.
Second. More.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor and Council. So this is a recommendation to proceed with TDC 2. We put out to bid. We rely upon our technology and our communications network for everything we do. Even with the wireless network, you still need the backhaul that brings that information back, and fiber is the standard for that. We've got background in the memo to show you how that essential network is being built out, and this provides a critical link down Magnolia, John Lizer to our facilities. So it's expensive work, but absolutely critical for our utilities and other operations, and recommend your approval tonight. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Council have any question or comment based on staff report?
Yeah, I do, Mayor.
Oh, great.
A couple of things. I see on there that out of this, $395,000 is in cash for this contract, and the other $395,000 just says other funding sources. Can you elaborate on what they are?
So the cash is from our CIP fund, and the other piece of that, I believe, is from the utility fund. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trent.
That's correct.
Okay. Who's going to be the subs on this contract with them, TDC 2?
I don't know that we know that. The TDC is the general contractor we're awarding it to.
Yeah, I don't believe they use subcontractors on the previous work they've done for us.
So they don't have any subcontractors? Or we don't know?
On the previous contracts they've done for us, they've done all the work. And so we don't necessarily vet or approve all subs, but our understanding is they will not be using any subs.
Well, I know y'all probably getting tired of me asking that, but I'm getting tired of asking and not getting answered. It should be on the contracts of listing who the subs are on these. If there are any, it should be listed on there in the percentage of the subcontracts for the overall contract, because there's a lot of language within that construction contract of who can and can't serve, as a serve or personnel on these different records that they may have. But that's what I was going to find out, and you answered my question. We don't know. Okay, thank you.
Any other report from council or comments?
So we'll be using the fiber to tie into the I guess the SCADA at the different plants. How is that? Is that all coming online? I've heard comments that we're still having to pay folks to run out to plants because things aren't coming online correctly.
That's not, I don't know where that's coming from. The SCADA's, I think we shared, it's a major work in progress. Whether it be lift stations or anything else, we're got separate work to build out a SCADA system. There's, with the new plants and Reflection Bay, that's got the backbones and the setting a standard for us, but that's a work in progress for sure. We send people out to check alarms, and we have, I don't know if we still have a phone alarm systems. That's been an issue in the past, but there's no way we have a universal SCADA now. We know that.
But the sites that are coming online are working fine.
We can give you something specific to that. I don't want to give a partial answer, and I'd rather come back at you with that.
Mr. Pearson, I can add a little bit to that. So we do have our newer facilities that have had SCADA, in the kind of state-of-the-art SCADA installed in those. And so then all of our other facilities, we've got a contract that's, we've gone through the procurement process, and we're in the final throes of finalizing the contract to bring before you guys to move forward with upgrading the SCADA system throughout our lift stations and the rest of our plants moving forward.
So the new locations, those are up and running as anticipated?
Yes, sir. So like Reflection Bay, the wastewater treatment plant, that's the plant that's got the latest version of it up and running. And that'll be looked at based on the latest software as we move forward. It'll require some upgrades, but not like our older facilities that have the older SCADA system where we need a wholesale upgrade.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other question or comment from council? Hearing none, I believe we've got a motion second on the floor. Secretary.
Councilmember Perez, Councilmember Perez,
His mouth works, but his sound doesn't.
okay,
It should be working. Aye.
No, working.
thank you. Councilmember Owens,
Aye.
Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Little,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Good questions there. I appreciate that. Moving to item number 3 on our consent agenda. We've had a couple of our council members, I think, request this be presented. And Clay, between you and Adrian, I'll ask, why don't you kick it off?
Actually, Mayor, I think we got number 2 to do with the surface water Terracon plant contract. Item 2, Mayor.
Huh?
We have not dealt with item 2.
Y'all not through with item 2 yet, huh? Sorry about that. Let's do item 2 then. A little. Sorry about that. Moving forward too fast. Can't hear you, David.
Mayor, consideration of possible action, resolution number R 2020-78. So moved.
Second, Hernandez.
A motion second on the floor. We're in discussion. Staff report on this item. Thanks for calling my attention to that.
I know it's a lot to keep track. So as we described in the Thursday packet back on April 16th, we're to the point with our surface water plant that we need to bring alongside the testing firm. They'll be with us throughout. You know, as you can imagine, with this size and scale and complexity facility, there's numerous different materials testing that have to be done and other work that's all described there. Went through a process, got a large number of firms responding back. Obviously, people continue to want to work with us, and we evaluated those. Highest ranked firm was Terracon, as we showed in the fall sheet there in the middle of that page, and recommend we approve this contract for just over $460,000 as described here. Nothing to add, sir.
Council have any question or comment on the staff report?
Same question, Mayor.
Okay.
Do we know who their subs are?
Anybody pick that up?
Typically, they operate without any subs, and they don't have any on this one either.
You sure?
I was just confirmed that they do not.
Okay.
Councilman Rollins, is that something that you would like to see on all the future packets? Is that what you're asking?
I have been asking for it several times over the course of this year, and I've yet to see it. Yeah, I think if we're going to be going out with these contracts on there, and I would like to see who all the subs are on these, working with the prime on there, so we know.
Well,
You know,
remember, they run the variety. As we showed you and told you with the pre-work, you know, that wasn't available. They had not been selected at that point. So they run the variety. If there are no substantial subs over some percentage, we can mark that and make that a standard. That's not a problem.
Yeah, if we just, list it out, if they're going to have subs on it, which they will, if you're going to go out and have a engineering firm to come in, you're looking at several of them coming in to work with you on it or whatever, they will list, the subs that they have on there. And I think if that's a contract, within our contract, we should have the prime and the subs listed on each one of these jobs.
And will the subs be held to the same standards that the general contractor will? Because I know, like at my company, we look at the EMR for even subs that do work for us.
In this case, there's no subs. It's not there. I mean, but yes, we have the same standards.
Well, you have language within the contract through there. I mean, and actually you have used it here recently, talking about personnel in there and the history on those personnel, staffing on there. So, I mean, they got to have a good, clean police record or what have you. And so I think on some of that, we should be able to come in because it's asking for a contract. And it's the same thing that we've done previously of asking, for those firms that are getting work there to be able to come in and attend the meeting if we're going to give them a contract to be there for any questions that we may have. And I know in the past you said, well, the staff can answer it. Well, the thing about it, staff is not on the contract. So, but anyway, I think, on there, yeah, I've asked for it numerous times and it had never been put on there. So I will continue to ask it and on each one of the contracts to come out if it's not listed there to look at. But on these revenue bonds through there, isn't that some of this stuff has to be reviewed by the Texas Water Board? Some of our contracts. I think I read it in there somewhere. Anybody? Trent?
Yes, when we're using the TWDB bonds, they do review all the contracts we award under those.
Well, some of these are revenue bonds, but aren't we supposed to be paid back from the Texas Water Development Board at that low rate of interest?
We use the state revolving fund through the Texas Water Development Board for the low interest loans. Yes.
Yeah, because I remember going through there and I think here a couple of weeks ago that was looking at a time frame and it had to be approved at Austin on that before it could go out from here. So, all right. Yeah, I'd like to see from now on the subs on it, or if we get on our engineering firms that come up, a list of those that was there on the presentation. We made the decision on some of them of who to take or not. It gets to the point that the selection of engineering firms is done, and then the staff goes in and negotiates a contract, just brings it for us to approve. And I think, that if we're going to be approving taxpayers' money, we ought to have a little bit more, as council members, a little bit more involvement in it.
Any other question or comment from council?
That's all from me.
Okay, it sounds like, Madam Secretary, we have a motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Little,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens,
Aye.
Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone.
Aye.
Okay, with that information recorded in, let's move to item number 3. Clay, we have a council input and discussion item. And I can't hear you.
This is a discussion item. Member Hernandez requested just to, no action going to be required, just to begin the conversation. If so, Member Hernandez.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to put this forward, something that I think could be useful to us, not just right now as we're dealing with the COVID-19 response, but also just moving forward, as I think Pearland has grown considerably. And, you know, Mayor, you and I had a discussion about this at length as well. And that Pearland has really put itself in a position to where we have the potential to lead our region, being the third largest city in the Houston metro. You know, we are in a unique position in many different ways, being in multiple school districts, multiple counties, and again, being the largest city in Brazoria County, but also third largest in the Houston metro. I think that there are some opportunities here for us to show leadership once again, as I think we have been doing over the last few decades. In this particular instance, where we can provide leadership in the form of support to the different agencies that we work with on a regular basis. I think generally, I wrote down some notes here. Generally, the concept is to assist city staff, emergency management, county authorities, and healthcare community with Pearland's specific and proactive health education planning, implementation, and evaluation as needed, or through ongoing needs assessments advised by the committee and authorized by council. I think understanding that it's meant to support and advise and not to replace or duplicate any effort currently put forth by either the county health authority or the city's emergency management and so forth. Couple of key points that I wanted to make would be that, number one, us putting this together, I've already reached out to some of our potential community partners here. The Chamber of Commerce, Pearland Chamber of Commerce, has agreed to let us utilize their facilities as things return to normal to host meetings and so forth. So, and they would also like to have a voice at the table here if we do move forward. Obviously, if we're dealing with different health education or health advisory items, I think the Chamber would be a fantastic voice to have on this, as they can obviously provide the voice of our business community, as some of the things that we do, some of the orders that we put in place and so forth, having the input from our business community would be very helpful in that. We've also had several nonprofits in the area express interest, including Counseling Connections for a Change, as well as our Brazoria County NAACP. We've had interest from several citizens who have reached out with requesting more information or to participate, as well as several of our area healthcare providers. Some of the things that I potentially foresee happening with this would be, first and foremost, to provide a forum for discussion of public health matters for citizens and health professionals in Pearland specifically, as well as performing or assisting with needs assessments through or in conjunction with existing city departments or partnering institutions. And I think everyone's aware that we already do have a very well-established medical and healthcare professionals community here in the city of Pearland, that I think having those stakeholders come to the table and participate, obviously having the city council add some credence to their role would be, I think, positive for everybody involved, as well as evaluating and advising on Pearland-specific health matters and education campaigns. This would be an opportunity for a committee of our local peers here in the city to assist the city where we may have limited resources to launch campaigns, where we could pull in our partners throughout the city, both healthcare professionals, nonprofits, and so forth, to assist us in those campaigns to keep our residents informed and educated regarding health matters, as well as provide info and evaluation of public health matters at the request of council. I think it's important to provide this forum for discussion. Also, not having to throw money at is something that we could do for little to no city funds at all. And I'll give you just an idea I got some of this information from City of Alexandria, Virginia, who has a very similar model in place. Theirs they're about similar size to Pearland, about 140,000 residents. They do have I believe it's a 14 or 16 member commission, actually, that they've done. 16 members, yes. And I was thinking that a potential way to form something like this would be we could have one appointed member from either the healthcare community or nonprofit community from one of each of our city council members, as well as up to 3 concerned citizens. And the mayor could solicit applications and present those to make appointments as necessary. The chamber would then make one appointment, and then we could potentially have maybe 2 council members on there as well. And this could be something where, like I said, it's up for discussion on how often they would meet, what their role would be, even if it's something that was done on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis. Like I said, they could essentially perform those needs assessments, bring it to council, and seek our authorization on any actionable items if there are any. If not, then needs assessments, I think, in conjunction with things that we've already been doing, such as our multimodal plan, and some of the more recent COVID-19 related orders and so forth, taking those things into consideration, specifically from Pearland, where currently we're having to take input from multiple counties and school districts and so forth and condense all of that to Pearland specifically. So that is the overview, the 10,000 foot view. I just wanted to present that to my cohort here and get their feedback on this particular item. Like I said, I've already reached out and gotten some interest, considerable interest from some deep-rooted members of our community, both from the healthcare profession, nonprofits, and just concerned citizens. So I'll go ahead and stop there.
Mm-hmm. Adrian and I talked about this a little bit, but I was going to sort of disagree with him from a suggestions to membership standpoint. It ought to be heavy loaded with public medical doctors and medical professionals, because we might get a bunch of citizens on there that don't believe in getting vaccinated for smallpox or chickenpox or flu. And so I don't think many doctors would recommend that. But I think what we need to do is focus on the health act, more on the health act issues. And I like your idea. It's just a very small suggestion of the type of membership ought to be more heavily loaded with medical professionals.
Yes, sir, Mayor. And turning back to the Alexandria model, they have it broken down very specifically to specify that their members include a physician practicing in the city, a dentist practicing in the city, representative from Community Services Board. You've got also potential members from the mental health community as well. So there is the potential, like I said, in the 7 healthcare or nonprofit appointed members to have it very, very well comprised of a diverse group of medical professionals. So I think that's a very valid point, and I appreciate the input.
You might need a veterinarian in there because of the dog animal viruses and issues. You could talk about vaccinating your dog and how to make sure that so forth. Council have any question to comment on this? He and Adrian and I talked about this, and it's something that we've got a good medical community here. We ought to start taking advantage of those. And I know they probably want to volunteer for this because they live here too. I think it's a great idea. Council have any further question on this item? I see Perez looking like it may be warming up.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the intent. I think maybe before we create a city-driven committee, maybe we need to lean a little bit more into the chamber committee that already exists. They have a healthcare committee. It meets once a month. I think its purpose, actually, I sat on that committee for a while. Its purpose is essentially do all the things that Member Hernandez was stating could be done. The only thing it lacks is council participation, but we can certainly reach out to the chamber and offer that up. And I'm happy to. I'm sure that there's a council member or two that may want to volunteer their time. I'm hesitant to tie it into the city because without a health department, I'm not sure that what specifically that committee would do that would require would tie into a current city function or require council action. I mean, again, I think it's a great idea. I think having a committee that ties in our health community tightly is something that would be beneficial to the community. Like I said, I think with one that already exists, maybe we should just lean into that one a little bit.
I can say that in my discussions with the chamber and from their own write-up on their committee, it's more focused on policy advocacy, business development, land development for the creation of a healthcare community, if you will. So that was my understanding of it, at least. Whereas I think this would be more focused on health education, which it does not seem that this current committee has a component that is dedicated to health education.
Yeah, I think it's easier to get them to add that than it would be for us to form a new committee, because then we'd have two committees that meet separately with two separate agendas, both of which cross each other or maybe be connected to each other. On the health education standpoint, again, I just don't. I don't know if that's a role that we currently play, and expanding upon that without an actual, a health department or something where that information could be tied into. I just don't know where the city. I'm having a tough time understanding where the city's integral role in this would be, other than just supporting it and encouraging the committee to be, but having it city driven as opposed to maybe us reaching out to the chamber and say, can you add these components? Again, that's just, I'm one of seven. That's just my perspective. I just don't, I think they're.
Adrian, do you have that information on that where you get that information from on the scope and stuff like that, that council could actually be sent out to look at?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can put that together for you. And type it up. I was in a bit of more of a time crunch than I anticipated with some other proposals and stuff being due, but I can definitely get that to you. And to speak to Member Perez's point, one of the things that when I was considering this and thinking about, my background in education, specifically in health education, was, I don't want the objective to get lost, which is, again, one of the reasons specifically why you wanted to kind of separate this from more the business development aspect of healthcare in the city, which I think is a very large bite to take already. So at least that would be my initial reaction to that point, I suppose. But I do think it's worth talking to. Like I said, I've already had some conversations with the chamber, so I'd be definitely open to talking to them a little bit more and getting some of their feedback and talking to some of the existing committee members and so forth.
Having sat on that committee, I'm happy to join you in a conversation or meeting with them and talk about where we could expand this committee. I think maybe we exhaust that before we try and form a separate committee.
I tend to agree with that. I mean, I don't know that the city without a public health department of any sort wants to get in the health education business. And I think that the chamber's doing a good job at bringing the right players to the table, and maybe we can lean on them a little bit more and see if we can get them to kind of fill in the gaps that you're seeing.
Yeah, just
I think if we can get more information, if Adrian can put that together, then that gives us a better idea of what we need to do.
Sorry, Woody. I was saying with the Government Affairs Committee, it's a chamber committee, but it has a lot of city staff and council members that attend that, and it helps with advocacy, but doesn't require a whole lot of city resource.
Member Perez, I shared the same concerns when I saw that this was on the agenda and started looking at, what do things like this in other communities actually do. An example that I found that I thought was a little bit better was in Grand Prairie. It's a suburb of Dallas, and the issues that they focus on, it says it includes disabled services, communicable disease control, emergency planning, community health indicators, air quality, public health policies and regulations, and other health or environmental issues. Phrased that way, that seemed to encompass a lot more of activities that the city does versus it without even having a public health department. Of course, we talk often about access for people with disabilities in parks and other facilities. Obviously, right now, dealing a lot with communicable disease control and emergency planning. So, you know, we have an animal shelter board that monitors the health and wellness of the city's animals. I don't think it would be a huge reach to have a board that monitors health and safety of the people of Pearland.
I think it's a good idea. So let's see if we can maybe pursue this a little bit, Adrian, and maybe with Perez, your help there, I think we could, if this is something workable for us.
I mean, I guess to that last point, I mean, we have an animal shelter and animal control division inside PD, so
you need a vet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense why we have that board. So I think saying that, drawing a conclusion that we need this because we have a advisory board for the animal shelter is a bit of a stretch.
Well, I guess I can make the point that we have a Parks and Recreation Department as well that is headed by a doctor of health education, which very directly deals with the dissemination of health education, both as far as the design and implementation and assessment of community health needs. I mean, we also look at the multimodal plan with that in mind as well. I don't think that we have necessarily the input. I think that if the existing committee was already, looking at these things, that I think the opportunity for input has been there for years, but it hasn't manifested yet. I think, again, it goes back to maybe the lost objective point. I just want to make sure that, again, we keep these things focused on what we're doing as a city. And, as we have an animal shelter, we already have a department within the city, and also within our HR department, that does deal with a subset of the city, and that would be our employees, and just trying to bring those two together, marry those two, I think would be a great benefit, as well as giving an opportunity for our existing healthcare community, concerned members, nonprofit service providers, and so forth to work directly with what the city is already doing, and provide that forum for them to have that input. So any opportunity as far as bringing more people to the table, I think is a win for me at this point. So
I'm not necessarily against this. I just don't want to have overlapping, committees or groups that are doing the same thing. I mean, we have so many organizations in the city and surrounding area that all do basically the same thing. If they could just all join together, I mean, just how much more powerful would that organization be, and how much more good could they do? But it's like everybody wants to have their own different organization, which is, it's fine, but if they could band together, they could do so much more. So I kind of feel the same way with this. Is I just don't want to overlap with something that's already being done. If those could be married together, then I think that would be a great solution.
I just say, Member Hernandez, let's see if we can. I'm happy to support the initiative. Let's see if we can get more out of the chamber committee, and maybe that can tie directly into communication with the city and accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish. I don't disagree with you that there's awful lot of benefit to what you're discussing. I don't know if it should be city led, particularly when there's already a committee, at least the structure of a committee that we could lean on to try and resolve this problem. And if we want to follow up with the chamber and you and I attend, we can. I'm happy to do that with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I did write that down, so I am committed to doing that with you. So I appreciate that feedback, and hope we can get it hashed out, and I'll hopefully get some more details put together. And if we can revisit in the future, I'd be very appreciative. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And Adrian, be sure to get some information together to get back out to council you know, on something like this, I mean, you can use the reference for today in the time. Everybody can have input, but when it comes down to the bottom line of what needs to be done or what needs to be staffed or what happens, it comes out of the city's coffers. So, you know, we need to take a look and see what we're trying to achieve out of this before we go in and try to set up anything.
Okay, that's a good idea. Maybe we could revisit this when you're freshening it up a little bit.
Adrian, this is Darren. If you want to provide that to me, then I can go ahead and disseminate that information out to council, so it doesn't put you in position of having to communicate city information to what could constitute a quorum. So if you'll send it to me, I can disseminate that information.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. That information pretty well wrapped up. Why don't we move to the next item, which is item number 9, Mayor, council issues for council discussion. I said none up here, but we just had one. And so I think it's a great idea, but let's move to item number 10, which is, let me open an executive session under Texas Government Code, section 551.087, consultation with the city attorney regarding economic development negotiations, and section 551.072, also for consultation with the city attorney regarding the acquisition of real property. Obviously, in executive session, we cannot make a decision, but upon return to open session, we can have 2 action items, new business item 4 and item 5, to be considered by the city council as a result of discussions in executive session. At this time, we will recess into executive session at, our clock says 7:37. We are now in executive session. Moving in our agenda, new business, item number 4, considering possible action regarding economic development negotiations.
Yes, this is Darren here, and there will be no recommended action for item number 4 this evening.
And new business item 5 is considering possible action regarding the acquisition of real property.
Yes, Mayor, I'd recommend a motion authorizing staff to proceed with the acquisition of real property for regional detention purposes as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Do we have a
This
motion?
is Hernandez. Yes, sir, Mayor. I move on Darren's statement. This is Hernandez.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second from Perez.
Any further discussion at this point? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I believe we got a motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens,
Aye.
Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Little.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
7-0. Okay. Moving to item number 12 on our agenda, which is other business. There is none tonight. Item 13 allows me to adjourn, which I shall do at 8:20.